Hi, and welcome back to the show, Examining Medicine, from traditional to alternative and beyond, on In the Limelight TV. I am your host, Dr. Franchell Hamilton, and I am so excited to have our guest today, Renee Jones. She is author of the book, What's Really Eating You? Overcome the Triggers of Emotional Eating. She has spent 40 years dealing with emotional eating and has now become an expert on this topic. She has talked about how she's had 4 different dress sizes in her closet because of struggling with emotional eating, and how she felt initially as a perpetual failure because every time she tried to go on a diet, she'd get caught up by her emotional eating and then just kind of what I call relapse back into those emotional eating habits. She has coined the term, face your stuff, don't let your face stuff you. And you'll correct me if I'm saying that the right way, but I am so excited to have her on our show because this is a very big problem with my patients in particular, and I know there's so many people struggling with emotional eating, especially since we have just hopefully come to the end of the pandemic. I know there's a lot of you guys that are struggling with this, so welcome to the show, Renee. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, we will get right into it. So tell me, what is your definition of emotional eating?
Emotional eating is eating for any other reason other than hunger.
Okay. So what are some types of emotional eating that you describe? I have kind of what I describe, but I'd like to hear it from you.
It can be anything. It can be upset. It can be stress. It can be boredom. It can be my cat won't come home.
Yeah.
You know, anything that creates an emotional response to food.
Yeah, I agree. So how did you, tell me about your kind of 40-year struggle, what you call it, with this emotional eating and how you came through this.
So my first diet was when I was 10. And
oh my gosh.
Don't rag on my mother, she was trying to help me.
Were you overweight as a child or?
Well, I was 70s fat.
Okay. Got it. Yes.
So yes, I was bigger than all my little friends.
Yes.
I was not obese.
Mm-hmm.
But my mother thought that if we got it sorted out then I'd know how to do it for the rest of my life, right?
Okay.
Because I come from a family that tends to get a little bigger at times.
Okay.
Unfortunately, she wasn't very good at it. Her mother wasn't very good at
Mm-hmm.
it. So we'd do a diet for a while, and then we'd get bored or tired of the food, or we'd go somewhere, family thing, and we'd never get back to it.
Okay.
So we began the diet yo-yo, just up and down, up and down, up and down, and I'd lose maybe 20, 30 pounds.
Oh wow, that's good.
Still wasn't at my goal weight, you understand?
Oh, okay.
But I'd lose 20 or 30, and then I would just slowly creep back up. So what helped me was figuring out the whole emotional eating thing. And my phrase to myself, my mantra to myself was, face your stuff. Don't stuff your face.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And yo-yo dieting is so common. And I think everybody goes through that. Like I always say, I'm trying to lose the same 10 pounds, like my whole life. And so how did you find out that it was emotional eating that caused you to kind of go back and regain the weight, so to speak? Because there are so many other reasons. Some people will say, oh, it's because I didn't exercise or I got off my exercise routine. Some people will say, blame it on kind of different things. How did you find out it was emotional eating for you?
Well, I kind of always knew that it was not that I couldn't follow the diet. I just didn't want to.
Okay.
I get to a point and I think, oh, ice cream or pizza or whatever it happened to be. So when I was staring down my 50th birthday, it was 2012, and I thought, this has got to be my year. If I don't get it done now, it'll never, ever happen. Because, after you turn 50, everything changes, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's not.
Yeah, they say that about every year.
Yeah. So I started out, New Year's resolution, I was going to lose the weight. And 2 weeks later, I started again. And then in February, I started again. And this went on till April when I had to buy a bigger size.
Oh, no.
And I thought, this is not going the right way.
Yeah.
So I started doing some research because I knew there was some emotional component. By this time, I had a master's degree in counseling and all of that.
Yes.
And I thought, okay, this is just emotional stuff.
Yeah.
It's when I just want something that I go for it. So I was doing some research and didn't find a whole lot until I found this one video of a lady in England And she was out doing video, and I thought, I spent 4 years living in Wales. They're not that direct.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, she's really doing this.
Yeah.
And I started researching her, and she worked with emotional eaters. And I bought some of her stuff. We had some sessions together. She helped me kind of unwind all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot. Well, we're still friends. Let's put that.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have her on speed dial.
That's awesome.
She doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But she just helps me in lots of different ways.
Yeah. Accountability, honestly. And that's one of the things that's important too, I think, to this whole weight loss journey is having somebody accountable, someone you can go to for support.
Absolutely.
So I think that's great. So why would you say then most diets failed? Would you say it's because emotional eating? What's the number one reason, would you say?
You go back to eating the way you always did before.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't learn anything. And it's important. I mean, a lot of people say diets are just for losing weight. For me, it taught me what worked for my body.
Yeah.
So if I followed that, I mean, when you're losing, you're eliminating maybe, 500 calories a day?
Yeah.
To lose a pound a week, that sort of thing?
Yeah.
And if you just add back those calories in a similar vein of the nutrition plan you've been on, you're likely to be okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we always have fluctuations.
Correct. Exactly.
That
Exactly.
But I have this alarm that goes off in my head. When I hit 4 pounds over my goal weight, I think, something's going on here, and I need to straighten up.
Yeah.
Because I'm slipping.
Yeah. And you got to figure out where that is, like what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And it may be portion creep.
Yeah.
Because that happens.
Yes.
I mean, last night I was measuring out some chicken, and I thought, I haven't measured this in a long time. I wonder how many ounces or how big a portion that is. And it was at least 50% more than I needed. And I thought, okay, back to the one where we are. And I was completely satisfied by that.
That was going to be my next question. When you go down in portion sizes, were you still satisfied, or did you feel hungry?
No.
Yeah.
No, because I did this experiment a few years ago just to see, okay, how many calories does it actually take to satisfy my body?
Yep. And it's different for different people.
Very different.
You were doing it for what works best for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I found that basic rhythm. And it's amazing to me that every time I just stay there, I'm quite satisfied.
Yeah. Yeah.
You think you need more.
Yeah.
And that's the emotional part of us. It's like, but I've had a hard day, so I need this. We don't need it. We just want it.
We just want it.
And there's a difference.
You're right. So when people go back to bad eating habits, do you think, so that you're saying that's like an emotional component?
It can be.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's just bad habit.
Yeah, correct.
Right?
Correct.
So you've got to identify for yourself, because just like you have to identify what works for your body.
Correct.
It's important to also what works for your mind, what works for your heart.
Yeah.
Because if that's not satisfied, it will kick up your emotional eating.
And honestly, I like the fact, because I often talk to my patients about all of them have to go together. It can't just be your food, but it also has to go with your mind and your heart and all this kind of concept. I also like the fact that you mentioned you have to, during your dieting, what you're considered dieting, look at it as a learning, like what's going to work best for your body, what helps you lose weight, and then what helps you gain. I often talk to my patients, there's certain food their body doesn't like, and their body will tell them their body doesn't like it. You just have to listen to it.
Yeah.
For example, if you eat certain foods and you feel bad, like you feel bloated or you feel tired, your body didn't like that food. Take that as a hint, listen to your body. Do something else that your body likes. When you're losing weight, what foods are making you feel better? What foods are making you lose the weight? So diets aren't one size fits all.
No.
I mean, have you figured out, I'm going to do keto or paleo or plant? I mean, what do you do you do a little bit of everything now, or did you find out what works best for you?
Honestly, I lost my weight on a low-fat, low-calorie diet.
Okay.
And I was tired, hungry, and cranky all the time.
Which is a lot of people. That's why people sometimes go back to this is not worth it for me.
But see, it become my job, so I kind of had that accountability of if this goes away, that's not good for my work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was trying so hard to maintain. I was working out like crazy. And I was, trying to keep the calories where they were supposed to be. And 2 years later, I was still tired, hungry, and cranky all the
Yeah.
time. I thought, there's something wrong with
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So I ran across this metabolic test,
Mm-hmm.
and it came back and he said, you need fat in your life. I was like, fat?
Who says that?
Fat? And I looked at the diet, and because I know diets, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is low carb,
Yeah.
but there was bacon and butter and cheese sauce.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
okay. That's just the emotional side.
Correct.
And I thought, well, a week is not going to crash my diet completely.
Yeah.
I was already at my goal weight, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I lost 2 pounds.
Well, you lost 2 pounds by adding fat, by adding the bacon and the cheese.
Yes. I know. And I was like, I just don't water.
Yeah.
Because carbohydrates hold water in your body,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I lost the water, but I suddenly felt so much thinner, and it didn't come back.
Yeah.
So I started doing that diet.
Yeah.
And I play with keto.
Yeah.
I play, because I have clients doing all kinds of things.
Yes, exactly.
I try everything for a little while.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of a protein-sparing modified fast.
Oh, that
Which-
sounds interesting.
It is fun. It's actually fun. It uses a lot of egg whites, but it's fun.
Okay.
And it has a couple of days. I think it's kind of like 5-2,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Where
yes.
you have 2 or 3 days of the week where your calories go down. But what was interesting to me, because you've increased the protein in it,
Yeah.
I don't get hungry.
Yeah. Exactly.
This is
Protein
just
and fat. keep you
fascinating.
full. Yes.
Yeah. So now I do kind of very low carb.
Okay.
Because
That works for you. You found that works
my
for you.
reaction to carbohydrates is to want more.
Yes. Yes.
And it kicks off my cravings.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave up sugar like 6 years ago.
So it's possible to give up sugar. That's one of the main problems with a lot of my patients. I call it sugar addiction.
Yes!
But sugar cravings is why a lot of people I call almost like relapse into some of their bad habits.
Yeah.
So you completely gave it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll have it a few times a year.
Yeah.
2 years ago, my husband and his sister were going on a business trip together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 2 days after Christmas. So on Christmas Day, I'm sat there at my in-laws'
Yeah.
table.
Yeah.
And my mother-in-law puts in front of me this plate of sugar, pie, cake, that kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
And I looked at my husband. He said, go ahead. I'm not going to be here in 2 days. Because it makes me cranky.
Yeah.
It makes me mean.
When you have the sugar.
When I have that much sugar or simple carbohydrates,
Yeah.
I just get ratty.
Yeah.
Well, it's not good for me. It's not good for him.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
Sugar, I may use some stevia,
Correct. Yes. Yes.
but sugar is just bad for my body.
Yeah. And I'm glad you, at some point along the way, during all the learning in your dieting, you were able to figure that out.
Yes.
You were able to figure out kind of what works
Yes,
for you, for your
bacon is
body.
a part of it. And
Yeah.
I love bacon.
Yeah. Yes. Well, that's good. Bacon works for you.
Bacon works for me.
So
But it doesn't work for everybody.
it doesn't. Well, you're right. It doesn't work. You've seen it with your clients. I've
Yeah.
seen it with my clients.
Yeah.
Certain people who only do keto, it doesn't work for them. It
Yeah.
like increases a lot of their triglycerides and cholesterol. So I did want to go back on the holiday eating though.
Yeah.
So because a lot of my patients will struggle, and a lot of people in general struggle. They're doing really great on a diet or whatever they chose for their, I like to call it lifestyle changes.
Yes.
And then they go to a birthday party or a family event, or the holidays come up. All of my patients get like stuck when there's Thanksgiving and Christmas and then New Year's right after. What do you recommend for those particular situations?
Okay, whether it's a buffet or a
Mhm.
summer barbecue
Mhm.
or a family dinner, what I like to do is do a reconnaissance round of what's available,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I think, okay, what do I most want?
Yeah.
What says holiday to me?
Yeah. And it could be different for different people.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Thanksgiving for me and my family, if there's no dressing, it's not a holiday,
Yeah.
right? Those flavors or something. So I'll have a small portion.
Yeah.
I'll have a taste or two.
Yeah.
I'll pick things that I just have to have and put that on the plate first.
Okay.
And then go back and add anything else that is healthy.
Okay. Okay. So you do smaller portions of the I want stuff.
Yes.
That's what you do.
And, very important, if you're going to have it,
Yes.
take the time to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be some repercussion for that. And if you just swallow something whole, you may as well be eating celery. You'll have just as much fun with it.
Okay.
So take the time
That's
to
good.
savor the flavors, get all those, the cinnamon or the sage or the poultry seasoning or whatever it is that just makes the barbecue sauces.
Yeah.
What is the flavor about that?
Yeah.
That you love so much.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you taste it. Squeeze all the flavor out of it for yourself.
Yeah.
So that you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And you know you've had it.
Yeah.
Right? My grandmother made fantastic pies.
Yeah.
Fantastic pies.
Yes.
And, we'd eat a piece first, really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, but I didn't get to enjoy it.
Yeah, then you go back for more.
Well, you may have heard years ago, Oprah told this story about going to France. And she bought 2 croissants.
Uh-huh.
And she said, I knew I'd swallow the first one whole and I wanted one to enjoy it. And I thought, just enjoy the first one.
Yeah, exactly.
You save yourselves a lot.
Correct.
But then I found myself going back for a second piece of my grandmother's pie.
Yeah.
So if you slow down, savor, enjoy, really taste it, enjoy that experience.
Yeah, an experience. I like that. That's
then,
a different take. Yeah.
You actually know you've had it.
Yeah. And that triggers, I can imagine how that would trigger like different mindsets, right? Like versus your mind almost knows that you've had it versus if you swallow it whole, it's like, wait, I didn't really get it. So let's kind of redo that again.
Yes.
Versus slowing down when you're eating is the best thing anyway. I tell my patients that anyway, because when they slow it down, then they have their body and brain get to catch up that they're full. Yes. When you swallow food whole, like unfortunately we do a lot in America because we're always busy and we're always on the go. It's almost like you eat more.
Yes.
When you eat faster, you actually eat more. So slow down. And you're saying, especially for the stuff you want, slow down. So you can still have it. Just eat smaller portions and eat slower. And it almost, your brain says, I've had that. I've satisfied that area. So I'm good now. Now I can kind of go eat some more of the healthy stuff. Yeah. So that's good. No.
Well, and even with the craving.
Yeah.
When we have a craving and we're sneaking food.
Yeah, not good.
Or we're eating it over the trash cans and we throw the wrapper away before anybody sees it, right? It's just not, it just doesn't do it. So if you're going to have something that is off plan, but you really want it, honor the food as much as the craving.
Okay, yeah,
Put
that's
it
good.
on a plate. Sit down at your table. Lay your table.
Yeah.
Right? Use a knife, fork, spoon, whatever the appropriate implement is, and enjoy every bite. If you're gonna do something about that craving, make it count.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's good. So that's a way you can still kind of have it, and you know that you have it. Your brain knows that you have it.
Yes.
So how do people kind of overcome these triggers or this emotional eating? Yeah.
You have to find what's driving the behavior.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
I was addicted to peanut butter.
Okay.
I loved it. I just had to have it. And when I found myself going back to the refrigerator for another spoonful, I knew something was up.
Yeah.
And it took me a while, but one of the things that I do with clients is say, okay, close your eyes. Think about the first time you had that food. What was going on?
Mm-hmm.
Who gave it to you?
Yeah.
And what need did it satisfy?
Yeah.
For me, my grandmother loved peanut butter. We were Reese's buddies.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And my grandmother is my rock.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the peanut butter was a tangible connection to that relationship and the love and acceptance that she gave me. So
that's good. That's good for that you were able to identify that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because not a lot of people draw the connection, but I think that's important. That's an important part.
Where we come in.
Yes, I agree.
Right?
I agree.
So once I realized she's not in that jar.
Yeah.
I've got to figure out how to get this need met without the extra calories.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's always a way.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't go back to the people we've lost, but we can find another way to connect ourselves with that feeling, and it'll do a lot more than the peanut butter.
Yeah. No, I agree. And there's a lot of people I've noticed who, and you've probably experienced this too, they eat when they're bored, and some of them don't even realize they're eating it. They're sitting at their desk and they have their jar of whatever, and they're just kind of chewing on it. Or they've had a bad day at work. Their husband upset them. Their kids upset them. Like, how do you combat people who have kind of those connections? Is it very similar to be able to identify them, which is what I say, know that this is what it is, and then do you do like an exchange, like instead of going for food, do this? What do you teach your clients to
absolutely
do? Yeah.
I mean, so much of it is about exchanges.
Okay.
Because the need is there.
Yeah.
It's got to be met.
Yeah.
You just have to find another way that is adequate, right? So one of the things that I teach is, emotional eating, overcoming emotional eating isn't hard. You just have to get the hang of it.
Yeah.
Right?
And what does that mean? Tell me.
All right, the hang. H, are you hungry?
Okay.
And if you're not, if you are, okay, maybe you need something to eat.
Yeah.
But if you're not, what is the A, attraction to food?
Yeah.
What is it that you actually need in that moment? And it may be a hug.
Yeah.
It may be a conversation. You may need to go have your nails done.
Mm-hmm.
Walk around the building. Get that need met. And the G is go. Go get that, because that will soothe you more than the food ever would.
Yeah. No, I agree. And bad foods can only become destructive versus exchanging for these more healthier habits that are going to build you up and make you feel better.
Yeah.
So you brought some props.
Yes.
So we have to talk about them because, I'm curious kind of what these are. So let's start with the plates.
Okay. So when I was 28, I decided I would start collecting china.
Yes.
And this was the dinner plate that I was given at the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when I actually met the man and we started collecting our china together, this was the dinner plate.
Oh, wow. I would say that's like 30-40% larger.
This is 9 inches, this is 10.5.
Oh, yeah.
So our plates actually got a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Over time. And the visual of your food on this plate as opposed to this plate makes you want to put more on that one.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think people need to pay attention to that. We were talking earlier, like everything in general, I think over time has gotten bigger.
Yeah.
Portion sizes at restaurants have gotten bigger, and that has also contributed to this obesity epidemic, so to speak. So the fact that in 1990 the plate was this size, and now look, you can see how much bigger the plate is. And a lot of us nowadays are unknowingly eating off of the bigger plate.
Indeed.
So what is the Ziploc? Yeah.
Okay. So when you live in a home where there are other people who aren't on your particular food plan,
like most people, unless you live alone,
use an opaque container for other people's stuff and put it above or below your eye level. When it's your stuff, you put it in a glass or clear container.
Yeah.
Because the eye eats before your body does.
Yeah.
So if you don't see it, then you don't necessarily want it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's great. So those are some good tips of what people can do at home. Like put the healthy foods, the foods that you want for your plan in a clear container at eye level.
Yes.
And your brain, believe it or not, will automatically go to those things first versus the stuff that you can't see. Your brain can't see it either. So you have to make that connection.
Yeah.
Okay, what does the rock mean?
Okay, so I would like you to take this rock.
Okay.
And I want you to carry it for a week.
What?
You can't put it down, ever.
Oh no.
You can put it in the other hand if you like, but you have to carry that for a week.
Okay.
How's that feel?
Not good.
It's a pretty rock.
Yeah, it's a pretty rock, but I don't know if I want to carry it around with everything that I do. Why would I carry this rock around everywhere?
And yet we're willing to carry our emotional baggage and extra weight.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah, I agree. And so this rock symbolizes emotional baggage and emotional eating or weights. And I used that in my book launch to the book Transformation as a Mindset, where even in surgery, like one of the reasons I feel like people weight regain, and you're probably referring to this too, is because they're carrying these bags.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good visual or a good handle from a patient standpoint, if you don't want to carry this rock, then why would you carry these other bags that you're carrying?
For decades.
Yeah, for decades, you're right. You have experienced that because you've carried yours for decades.
Yeah.
And some people, they almost get used to holding these, right? Not realizing it's crippling them. Like if I have this rock in my hand and I have another one in this hand, I'm going to be crippled from being able to do certain things that I can do.
Yeah.
So people don't realize it may not be physically in their hands, but it's crippling them from being their best self or being able to do what they need to do.
Indeed. And once I got rid of the emotional baggage, 8.5 years right here, baby.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, go get her book, What's Really Eating You? Overcoming Triggers of Comfort Eating. And then you also have a website that people can go to. What's that website?
PackYourOwnBag.com.
Yeah, PackYourOwnBag.com, where she can give you tips on how to overcome emotional eating. And again, it includes stress eating, boredom eating, that I know many of you went through the pandemic. And not only that, but continues to haunt you to this day. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. Download and subscribe, and go visit Renee's website. Thank you so much for joining me on the show.